Have you ever looked at a Christmas tree and thought, you know what this room needs? More open fire. Probably not, but for hundreds of years, that is exactly what Christmas looked like. Before the cozy, twinkling electric lights we buy for $5 at the supermarket. The holidays were literally a life or death situation. We took a dry, dead pine tree, essentially a pile of kindling, dragged it into our wooden houses, and then glued dozens of burning candles to its branches. It wasn't just a decoration. It was a ticking time bomb waiting to go off in the middle of the living room. The danger was so real that in the late 19th century, insurance companies added specific Santa Clauses to their policies. They stated clearly, if your house burns down because of a Christmas tree, we will not pay you a single cent. Hospitals went on high alert every December, and families had to organize a literal bucket brigade. The father of the house would stand next to the tree with a bucket of sand or water, staring at the flames while the children opened their gifts. So how did we go from these terrifying fire trees to the electric magic we have today? The story involves a marketing stunt by Thomas Edison, a rebellious son of a U.S. president, and a 15-year-old boy who turned a failed product into an empire. This is the deadly, expensive, and brilliant history of Christmas lights. To understand why electric lights were such a massive revolution, we have to look at the nightmare they replaced. The tradition of putting lights on trees dates back to Germany in the 17th century. The legend says Martin Luther saw stars twinkling amidst the evergreen trees. He wanted to recreate that divine beauty for his family, so he wired lighted candles to its branches. It sounds poetic. In reality, it was an engineering disaster. For 200 years, people struggled with gravity. Candles are heavy, branches are flimsy. People tried using melted wax to stick the candles. When that failed, they used pins. But as soon as the room got warm, the wax softened, the candles tilted, and they set the branch above them on fire. By the 1800, inventors tried to fix this with counterweighted candle holders. But it wasn't enough. The rules for a Victorian Christmas were strict. It was a brief, stressful explosion of light, followed by immediate darkness. Humanity needed a better way, but the solution wouldn't come from a toy maker. The year is 1880, Menlo Park, New Jersey. Thomas Edison had just filed his patent. But he had a problem. Nobody trusted electricity. People called it manipulated lightning. During the Christmas season of 1880, Edison strung up incandescent bulbs around his laboratory compound. He wanted the commuters on the nearby railway to see his electric lights glowing. But Edison didn't invent the Christmas tree string. That honor belongs to Edward H. Johnson. 2 years later, in 1882, Johnson decided to bring the technology indoors. He hand-wired 80 red, white, and blue light bulbs the size of walnuts. But Johnson was a showman. He placed the tree on a rotating electric base. A reporter from the Detroit Post visited Johnson's house. It was a continuous twinkling of dancing colors. For the next 20 years, electric lights were the ultimate status symbol. They were the private jet of the 1900s. Why? Because almost nobody had electricity. You had to hire a wireman, a skilled electrician, to come to your house. Then, because you didn't have wall sockets, you had to rent a massive generator. In 1900, a single lighted tree cost about $300. Adjusted for inflation, that is over $2,000 today. It became popular among the elite only after President Grover Cleveland put electric lights on the White House tree in 1895. But not all presidents loved it. In 1901, President Theodore Roosevelt tried to ban Christmas trees entirely. But his son, Archie, didn't agree. Archie smuggled a small tree into the White House sewing room and hid it in a closet. On Christmas morning, he surprised his angry father. Even the tough president couldn't resist the magic. In 1917, a tragic fire broke out in New York City. A family had left their candlelit tree unattended. A 15-year-old boy named Albert Sadaka read about the fire. His family owned a novelty lighting company. They sold electric lights for wicker bird cages. Why don't we paint them colors and sell them for trees? Albert Sadaka went on to form the Noma Electric Company. They dominated the world. By mass-producing the strings, they drove the price down from $300 to just a few dollars. However, the evolution of lights wasn't a straight line. It got weird. In the late 1940, the bubble light appeared, invented by Carl Otis. But then, in the late 1950, the space age arrived. People wanted everything to look futuristic. Enter the aluminum Christmas tree. It was shiny, modern, and never dropped needles. If you wrapped electric lights around an aluminum tree, the entire tree became electrified. So they invented the color wheel, a rotating spotlight on the floor. The aluminum branches acted like mirrors, reflecting the changing colors. Once plastic insulation became better, lights moved from the living room to the front lawn. This created a new psychological phenomenon, the Christmas arms race. In 1973, President Nixon asked Americans to turn off their lights to save energy. And for the first time in history, the country went dark. One light goes out and the whole string goes dark. This is because of series circuits. It wasn't until the invention of the shunt that this changed. A shunt is a tiny wire bridge inside the bulb. When the filament breaks, the full voltage hits the shunt and creates a bridge for the electricity. Today, we have moved to LEDs. They don't get hot, they use 90% less energy. NASA data shows that during the holiday season, the suburbs of America become up to 50% brighter at night. So, this holiday season, when you struggle to untangle that ball of wires, remember that that little string of plastic and glass is a triumph of engineering.